Sewer District and Water District, or Black Island Water Company together as well for October 20th at 3:03 p.m.
Wonderful. Do you guys want to start?
Okay, well, first item on the agenda is discussion of major policy changes of the Water Commission, basically update the water improvement project. Do you want to update that, John?
Sure, and you guys got an update recently, I believe, because I was in for something to do with zoning, I think, yeah. But just to update quickly, and I can be brief, the storage tank is now completed and it was operational this summer. It's working great. It'll service for many years and, you know, has plenty of expandability. After observing what the tank levels were this summer. The well field, 2 wells have been drilled and developed. Pump tests were completed on those. And quality has been analyzed, quantity was fine. They are redeveloping one of those wells, or further developing, I'd say, one of those wells next week, just to work out some silts that aren't good for reverse osmosis. And the only way to test that is to pump it. So, we're having a pre-construction meeting tomorrow to kick off the well control building. And that's working through zoning just fine. I think we have our final decision coming up this week or next week, but I've pretty much got all the way through the zoning process at this point. Water, electric, communications are all installed underground. So that's all completed. And our goal is to have it done by May of 2026, and those wells should be operational for next summer. And the third phase is the treatment building expansion and renovation. Jim and I have been working on that. We've had Richard St. Jean, the structural engineer, over. He's provided a set of plans, and we're in the planning phase of that, and hopefully to go out to bid, you know, sometime this winter. And award something coming up this winter for the next season. And as you know, that's why I came to you guys. I couldn't remember.
Yes.
But as you know, we had to go for additional grant loan funding.
Yes.
Is to mention in this meeting, even though you guys know that.
Yeah.
And we will be on the financial town meeting for May for borrowing authority for that, as you guys heard on that already, but something just to mention.
Hey, John, would you pass along to your team? It's good that Jim's here. Obviously, you're here. What an extraordinary job I think you guys have done on that project. It has been, and I obviously include the construction, but literally the entire run up, the planning, the work with USDA, the work in the community, the work with your ratepayers, really just fine work. And one of the fundamental truths of serving on a town council like we all do is the less you hear, the more successful the project is.
That goes with water and sewer in general, I think, or utility.
And I just really, you know, I thank you, your contractors, your team, et cetera, the boards. It just extraordinarily well done.
Well, thank you. It's a huge project.
Yeah,
it's big.
I know.
It's bigger than anything else I thought I would take on.
Yes.
In my career, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty large project. So
you've done a great job also dealing with the roadblocks that have come up with timing from weather, everything else, as well as being proactive on and even keeping a list of people that want to have water now, which, as you know, started after COVID and everything. And hopefully with the next year, we'll be able to meet all those demands and then have access to.
Yeah, my bet is in a with this many challenges, we probably know about this many.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it's really, it makes me so happy and proud. You guys have done a great job.
One of the biggest pieces of this is with the Schmidt property, I mean, the board for 20 years tried to get new source water and failed and failed and failed. And just having the right timing with the Water Resources Board money, their programming is ending, a willing seller.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that hit a bunch of roadblocks, but that in itself took a little luck and a lot of work. So is getting 7 acres by the water company that is viable, you know, is kind of an unbelievable story in itself. But
can I ask a real, I'm actually kind of embarrassed to ask this, but are you using both tanks now?
3 tanks.
I mean, using you're using the new tank is really what
the new tank went operational in June.
Gotcha. I just wasn't sure whether that was waiting to be filled by the new well field.
No. Gotcha. We filled it over, you know, a week, you know, keeping up with regular demand and filling it at night.
Yeah.
In about, I think it took 4 days or 5 days to fill it or something.
Terrific.
But that's it on my end, and you know, we'll be leading back up to the financial town meeting and all that when that comes up.
Great.
Dylan?
Yeah, so I have no policy changes to recommend going over the summer. I think.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Yep, thanks. Going over the summer flows, we fill both July and August over 8 million gallons for the month. I did see higher flows than I've seen in the time that I've been there.
Yeah.
I think we had 4 days over 300,000 in July and 6 days in August over 300,000 gallons. Although we were down a bit in July for billing, about 1.5%. I think we ended up just about 3% with August.
Gotcha.
As far as an increase in billing.
Yeah.
So the usage is certainly higher than I've ever seen. As far as operations go, as part of our new RIPD's permit, we're now required to inspect the outfall. You know, it's 50 years old. It was built or constructed in mid-70s. So, you know, we're going to see some deterioration of that.
How do you conduct that?
Divers inspect it under the water line.
Interesting.
And just take pictures, make an assessment as far as the structural integrity of the concrete casing, metal sheathing at the end of the outfall, the diffusers, all the primary components that essentially hold it together. As far as looking at the pipe itself, it's a bit more challenging because it's constantly filled with water.
Yeah.
And we are still working on some details about how we're going to inspect that. But overall, the report was fair. There's obvious repair that needs to be done specifically to the concrete casing and metal sheathing at the end of the outfall, and those repairs and those details will be forthcoming as we.
Is that kind of a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4? You know, like what's the horizon on that?
The horizon is, I think we need a more in-depth analysis of the pipe itself. And then we're going to put a report together. I'm working with Jim Jeremy on that. And so again, those details will be forthcoming as we get them.
I know I've asked you this before, but apropos of your first description of the flows this summer, and I think when I asked this before, it was, okay, I'm curious about, you do the water upgrade, you increase the flow on the water upgrade. Does that mean soon we'll have to do something similar on the outbound side?
Well, I wouldn't dismiss that possibility. Solids, again, as I think I've mentioned over the past few years, has been the catalyst for expansion well before we hit the 80%. 90 days of capacity treatment. We're going to need
trigger, right? 80% for 90 days.
We're going to have to look at solids, and how we're going to move solids off the island.
How's that working now?
We're actually doing well. I couldn't be happier with Block Island Recycle Management.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing a great job. They've provided service all summer without a hitch, no problems at all. We kept up with wasting, even increased it far greater than prior years as we're seeing higher flows.
Right.
We have to increase the removal of solids as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's always that trade-off. But you know, we've been handling everything well. You know, going down the road, you know, as we expand or we see increasing, this is a conversation we're going to have.
Right.
Building tanks, holding capacity, even if we're getting through that peak season, it's not necessarily we have to remove it straight away, but we're going to have to increase holding capacity for sure.
Interesting.
And it's not necessarily a balanced situation.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you may get a new water customer that's already on sewer.
Sure.
Okay, and then, you know, so.
And that clarification should be.
And a lot of the customers we are getting.
Already are on sewer already.
Right.
Right.
The new customers.
Right.
Right. There are a number of customers who use private wells, but they're on and utilize sewer service. For example, if their septic tank is failed,
Sure.
they're on the fringes of the sewer district. So along with that, we also have been completing our final report for resiliency. That's been ongoing, something we've discussed over the years. Again, meeting the standards of raising the pump stations 5 feet over the specific flood zone levels and providing backup power at those critical pump stations. Completion for everything in that final report. Jim can discuss that a little more if he chooses, but I think the long-term scope of completion is around 2030.
Gotcha.
So.
And that's all built into the capital plan, or is that something that we'll see
It's
at some
built
point?
into the 10-year capital.
Right.
That's
Gotcha.
correct.
Gotcha.
As far as anything else, I mean, as far as focus on capital projects and continuing work with slip lining, we'll be working on Dodge Street and Water Street, completing that phase in December.
What do they actually do when they're doing that?
All right.
Because I just say slip lining.
Slip lining, yeah, it's very vague, ambiguous. Again, we don't like to talk about it. It means it's all working.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So, but essentially it's an epoxy filled liner that's cured in place. It's steamed and then cooled in place. We stop all flow within that pipe. And it's air is moved through it. So
Yeah.
it seals to the inner diameter of the pipe, only increasing it roughly 2 millimeters, 4 millimeters.
Right.
And then you have a far more, a greater integrity within the
Right.
system without having to dig.
Yeah.
That's the whole plan.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I think that's it. That's all I have for now, unless you have any questions.
Well, I know you didn't have the major capital project, but I would ask you the same thing, which is to share with your team how extraordinarily well you do and how happy and proud we are to have you.
Of course, appreciate
I
that.
think
They
it's-
appreciate that.
yeah.
Thank you.
Again, it's one of those functions of government that it's working best when, you know, no one's complaining about it.
Especially the sewer.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
we are.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Do you guys have anything you wanted to raise?
No. The only question I had, you said on that outflow pipe that you're gonna have some repairs and that you think down the line here, correct?
Yes.
Is that, those like major, are you anticipating?
Good question.
I'll let Jim speak to that.
Basically, what we're looking at is we're trying to examine the interior of the piping, because if the piping is structurally deficient, then we'll have to do a major replacement of the piping. But what we're looking at right now is during the inspection, the steel sheeting is seen. There's sections of the steel sheeting that is separated or is rusted away. So after 50 years, we might have to replace some, if not all, of the steel sheeting that encloses the concrete that holds the outfall. Just to Bill, you were around at well, no, you weren't even around. I wasn't around at the time. But basically, originally the outfall was put in and there was concrete encasement around the outfall. Back in the early 70s, after that was put in, there was a lot of wave action that was causing the outfall to sway. So following the encasement in concrete, there's steel sheeting that goes on the outside of that encasement, and then revetment stone is placed behind that. So what we'd be probably looking at a minimum, is to replace the revetment, the steel sheeting, to reinforce the support the outfall structure, put back the revetment stone. It'll be good for another 50 years of outfall.
Yeah, are you talking like, you know, the hundreds of thousands? I mean, what type of? That's the
It'll
worst
be
case.
it'll be close in the $500,000+ range. So we would either go for USDA funding for that, or begin to build up the capital. So in the next couple of years, when we go to do the project, the funds would be available. That would be a commission decision as to how we move forward on that. We might time that with other, as Dylan was mentioning, with regards to solids handling. So you want to package these projects so that you can take advantage of USDA funding. Because small projects, it really financially is not advantageous to go to USDA funding because the cost of borrowing is so high. So it'll be a commission decision as to what we do and how we package things together. But you're talking over $500,000 of just steel sheeting in place there.
Who would like to walk us through the management agreement for 27, Amy?
Well, I think the next item, do you guys have any changes coming?
I'm sorry, that's what I was just asking before.
And I don't know that we need to go page by page unless people want to. The council did meet on the topic to see if they had any specific items, and really we're comfortable with the agreement the way it is. We did miss the deadline this year to notify the commissions about the change in the contract rate. But we do intend to increase that next year, and certainly would have this year. I think off the top of my head, Mona, the total cost of services is running around $211,000. So we'd like to bring that closer to alignment in the future. But there were no other provisions the council wanted to change. And I guess I would say, from a management perspective, I think things are working fairly well in terms of the superintendents, the director of public works, the manager's office, and finance seem to have a pretty open line of communication right now, which
That has been very clear and welcome.
I think that makes
Yeah.
this secondary, which is where it should be. We talk first and then rely on the documentation as the backup.
I will also reiterate what Keith was saying too, is that the communication between our commissions and Amy and everything are much improved versus what they were in the past.
Any other comments on the management agreement? Anybody? No? Discussion and or potential action regarding issues of mutual concern. A, discussion regarding seeking additional revenue sources to offset water and sewer infrastructure costs that are incurred by increase in demand related to tourism.
I would say I would like a vote on that last item, probably from both bodies, if that was possible.
So I'll make a motion from the town council side to approve the management agreement.
Is there a second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the current management agreement between sewer and water with the town. All in favor? Aye. And then the next item is, this is something that I've been pushing for years, is the reason we have such a large infrastructure when it comes to sewer and water and the sound is because of tourism for an 8 to 9 week period. And with some of the increases that are coming down the line, we want to open up a line of communication with the town with some of those increases because of tourism. Without the ability to flush a toilet or anything else, you know, you don't have a town really. And all of this is what we have, and a lot of these expenses, it's hard to put this all on the ratepayers. You know, everyone says put it to the super fund people, the super big ratepayers, but at the same time, their costs are going up. I can speak from personal experience massively. And a lot of this is because of tourism. So with some of these increases, while it's not a ton, we would like to see if we can't open up something where we can get a small percentage set aside specifically for sewer and water to help some of these costs as well, with that we're going to be, that we currently have, and others that will be coming because of the growth as well. So it's not, this is just open a discussion, specifics. We haven't really gotten that far. We're talking with our lawyer on it too, to see what we can do, and then talking with Mona and Amy.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to have the conversation. I think, you know, we all are open to having any conversations. I think it would be helpful as part of that conversation to get a sense of what your you know, yes, the costs are tourism, but a lot of those are the large users. So, you know, I'd like to get a sense of, you know, kind of how burdened they are, given that their revenues are also increasing every year. So, you know, that's where I'd look first before I look to the town.
Because a lot of it also comes to, well, I'm talking, you know, with some of these new rates coming in, tax and rate wise from the hotel taxes, which obviously is the big users too, but also the rental income, which also is a huge impression. It's growing too, as far as, you know, the pressure that puts on the system too. So that's where, you know, what you're asking is very fair.
Yeah.
We're just we're looking at it from a broader perspective, not just the rate, the huge users.
Sure. So do you see a difference, Dylan and John, in the amount of use a house that's rented, say, for 12 weeks versus a house that's
I'm the user geek.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, a year-round family uses, you know, it's amazing what a gallon per day per person would use on a year-round family, and versus a rental. It's remarkable. It's 3 to 4 times.
Wow.
I would say,
Yeah.
if not sometimes more.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have packed homes. You know, you might have a 3-bedroom home with 3 people, or, you know, 4 people. But a lot of the times when you have a rental, it might be a 3-bedroom home with 6 or 8 people. So, but a lot of people work during the day too. So, but even retirees, you know, it's amazing. I was reading something about average gallon per day usage in New England or Massachusetts, and most of our people are well below that. So, but yeah,
Tristan doesn't take a lot of showers. That's
no. I was going to use Tristan's. You know, we metered. You know, I was thinking who's on the meter here, and Tristan is, and it's amazing how little the you know, the small the bills can be for a year-round user versus, but they're also getting the bill and conscious of it.
Right.
When you rent a house, you go bananas, and you're on vacation, you're paying a lot of money to be there. Take 2 showers, right? So, but yes, there's a large discrepancy. I would say at least 4 times the amount.
I think this whole conversation around, you know, sort of what are the costs associated with tourism, That's not to say there aren't countervailing benefits. I'm just saying it would be, it's just one of those things that as we work, not just on this, but sort of generally, is helpful to know and gather data about.
And it goes back, I think, about that tourism study that was done a number of years ago by, I thought it was fairly well done. I think I caught the end of their presentation.
Yeah.
But it goes back into, kind of their recommendations were, and it goes back to the fact that we're not our own country and we can't just make
I
up.
know, we're not sovereign.
Yeah, and
right.
there's a lot of island countries that you go to and you hand them $20 as you leave. And,
Yes.
as a tourism tax essentially, but, I remember that whole thing, and in concept, it sounds great, but legally it's very
Legally,
difficult.
it's a little challenging.
But,
John, do you bill differently for homes that rent as opposed to on residential?
That's a great question. So no, on the usage end, I would say yes on what we call the customer infrastructure tax, which is tied to our debt service. So there's a big spreadsheet that I do, and it's about how much water you use. So there's 4 customer classes, and it's based on how much water you use and when you use it. So a rental that uses water only in the summer and essentially leaves us high and dry on revenue in the winter, they're charged more on a monthly customer charge. We don't call that anymore. We call the infrastructure tax. So a large commercial user that only uses water in the summer gets the most. Then a large commercial style user that, like, let's say Macaloons or something that has some usage through the year, they would be charged less. And then there's the residential side, and that falls not on residential commercial. We don't do that. It's based on 73,000 gallons over or under, which tends to fall whether you're using it for commercial or not. So then there's kind of the residential year-round rate, which pays the smallest amount. And then there's your essential seasonal users. That doesn't mean it has to be rented or not, but if you basically come here May, June, through now, through October, you get charged a higher rate on that monthly customer charge. So yes. We have spoken about, and it's just a matter of resources, of having the time and energy to start looking at increasing block rates, probably just in the summer. So for an example, in July and August, when we're at our peak, you might charge someone differently, a lower amount from 0 to 30,000 gallons per month, and then like 30 to 60, and then 60 plus. So you get your super users, or these customers who are really pushing the facilities, at least our facility limit, and our, or why we're here,
Right.
Spending all this money,
Sure.
and why we need everything for the peak day. We've talked about that and thrown it around a bunch, and I would say my goal for that is to get it when this is all done. My goal is to kind of have something in place going into that fiscal year.
Right.
But it's been hard to, on a resource end, it's been hard to do
Sure.
this and do that, because a rate case and a rate study is a lot of work. And then you have the back end of it too, with how do you do it, and the billing software is a whole, the implementation, the whole bit. So it's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
We have a concept in mind, but you have to really pour through, you have to play with a bunch of spreadsheets and see where the breaks are. You don't want to unintentionally charge, you don't want to get the breaks wrong, and, it's pretty important to get it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have thrown that around at a number of different meetings. And I think that would only be in July and August would be my goal, is just when you have that problem.
That peak.
And it might lead to some conservation, but you're essentially taking the reason why we are where we are and trying to get that revenue through those customers.
Right.
Yeah. Of what we call, and I think Amy made it up, the super user. is kind of and a lot of those users are just using lots of water from the last week in June through Labor Day, lots of water. And then it's shut down and we're not getting, any revenue from them today.
Right.
Their meter isn't spinning right now. Yes. And that happens.
That was my question. It stops as of September 1st, or do you see it going through September?
Oh, I don't know. These are all the details and,
Yeah.
Whether you do it from June, you do the 4 months of kind of summer, or you just do it July and August, I don't know. But things really drop off in September for us. It's like a faucet just turns off. It's amazing. From, the day before Labor Day, Saturday of Labor Day to Tuesday of Labor Day, you almost get cut in half, and then you don't need all this stuff anymore. That's the problem, right? Then you don't need any of it. You could cut back down to 1 tank, but it doesn't work like that. You got to be able to provide water for that peak, those 3 or 4 peak weekends, and you have to provide, you can't, you can't sacrifice it, and you got to have water pressure.
Yeah.
So, but good question. Yeah.
Terrific. Anything else? No. Anything else from you guys? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. This is, nice constructive meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And I'll have a motion to adjourn as well. All in favor?